All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. The court of the 12th Judicial Circuit and for Sarasota and Manatee and DeSoto counties is now open and convened, with the judges attending for the investiture of the Honorable Stephen Walker. All are invited to draw near and give attention as the court is now in session. You may be seated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is my distinct privilege on behalf of all the judges here today to welcome you to the investiture ceremony for the Honorable Stephen Walker. And Stephen, I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the ceremony. The first thing that I want to do, however, is welcome all of the elected officials and other dignitaries who are present. I understand that Commissioner Caragiulo is present. I understand Public Defender Larry Eager is present. And I understand State Attorney Ed Brodsky is present. Now, because I always have anxiety when I have to do things like this, I do want you to all understand, to avoid any mistakes or any hard feelings, Judge Owens has entered an emergency administrative order declaring everyone in this room a dignitary. So we acknowledge all of the dignitaries. The bad news is that it expires at 5 o'clock, so enjoy it while it lasts. In addition, I want to welcome Judge Walker's family, friends, and supporters, especially his wife Kim and his daughters Grace and Ryan, who did an outstanding job, by the way. I also want to point out to you, Judge Walker, that this may very well be the last official proceeding involving yourself in which all of the lawyers will walk out unanimous in their affection for you. So soak all of this in for the last time, trust me. As we welcome your real family, I want to remind you that you are about to join a new family, a judicial family. And like many blended families, there may be some period of adjustment, getting used to our habits and our quirks. However, like those awkward Thanksgiving dinners when you first meet new family members, I assure you, you will survive it. Your colleagues today, whom you are about to officially join, we come from many different places, and I did a roll call backstage just to make certain. We come from places like New York, which I understand is where you were born. Surprisingly, I found that out earlier. From Massachusetts, from the District of Columbia, from Pennsylvania, from California, from Ohio, from Alabama, from North Carolina. There's more on that in a minute. Minnesota, and many places in between. Of course, many of us are native to Florida, and we are privileged and proud to be called native Floridians. We also have different college loyalties and sports allegiances. Indeed, we are collectively, and I did some research on this also, we are collectively Canes, Gators, Waves, Scots, Lions, Tritons, Blue Devils, Blues, Eagles, Gales, Raiders, Mariners, Hatters, Bulls, Sooners, Irish, Volunteers. Some of us roll with the tide. And regrettably, some of us are Seminoles. Despite these divided and sometimes heated rivalries, we share certain principles and core truths. We understand that the office you are now about to officially enter carries with it much praise and respect, but it will sometimes carry with it criticism and disagreement. As your colleagues, we recognize, and you soon will too if you haven't already, that what we do as judges is not always popular. However, we as judges proudly accept the fact that what is always popular is not always right. We have learned, and you will also, that on occasion, at the end of the case, when you have issued your final ruling after much deliberation and thought, the winning side will declare you to be a genius, and the losing side may declare you to be an idiot, all at the same time. It is all part of the job, and we do not take it personally. Right? We don't take that personally. In the final analysis, all of us up here are indeed public servants, in the noblest sense of that term. And unlike many of the politicians that are present today, we have no real lobby or any way to defend ourselves, nor should we. But what we do have is each other, and we have each other's respect and each other's support, and I assure you during your career that will be more than enough. So in spite of our varied backgrounds and our different college loyalties, we come together when it counts the most. And today we gladly come together to welcome you to our family. You know, when the Rolling Stones are introduced, they are always announced as the greatest rock and roll band in the world. Well, unfortunately, as a group of judges, we're not quite the Stones, but I assure you, you will not find a better group of judicial colleagues to work with. And we are proud and we are humble to have you join us. And we say congratulations and we welcome you to the bench. And at this time, we will have Attorney Dan Bailey give some additional remarks.
Thank you, Judge Williams, and honorable members of the judiciary, and members of the Walker family, and honored guests. This is Coronation Day, and it's been looking forward to it for quite some time. I pondered the possibility of getting a gift for Stephen, a judicial wig, but I somehow had in mind they cost about $500, and I Googled it today, and it cost about $40. I really could kick myself for not, because it would not only serve the purpose of imbuing him with a sense of dignity and solemnity, but also might, well, maybe if your barber would not cut your hair so short, you wouldn't have to worry about those things. I met Stephen many years ago. We actually was on, he and Kim, their first date, to the Diamonds in Denim event at the Polo Grounds, which was a mixture of polo, barbecue, swamp cabbage, and then opera, which we found quite confusing, didn't we? I've watched him grow as a father, first as a husband, then as a father, and I watched his good-natured way that he is ridiculed by being surrounded by nothing but women. A grandmother, a mother, a mother-in-law, a wife, and 2 daughters. He's one who, like myself, requires a great deal of female supervision and receives it, a lot of attention. But he is a graduate of Stetson and University of Florida. He is a board-certified criminal lawyer, been practicing for about 2.5 decades now. He's a super lawyer, and he's a surfer. I had tossed about trying to gather character witnesses for him, and threw out some questions to them. First, I asked them what qualities they saw in him that particularly qualified him for judicial office in terms of his life experiences and his integrity and his intelligence and that sort of thing, and then also stories that might demonstrate his humanity, his compassion, and his frailties. I'll get to that in a moment, and his exceptionalities. His daughter Ryan, who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance a few moments ago, said, "He is fair, he knows what's right, and I just believe in him." Grace said, "My daddy is going to be an amazing judge. He will judge cases really well, but will not be judgmental of the people. He's very nice. Kim said, because he's a good, kind, and caring person, and because he will work each day to be better than he was the day before. I have to tell you also, Kim has been one of my law partners for a number of years now, and she came to me a few years ago and was so excited and wanted me to be excited about the possibility of her running for a county judgeship. And I tried to avoid crying, and her face dropped when she saw my face drop because I did not want to lose her as a colleague. But this is the next best thing, another family member coming into the judiciary. Then I spoke with his mother, Nancy, who's right up here in the front row, and we had a nice conversation, and she told me that, among other things, that he would be, of course, a good judge, and if he saw wrong, and then she kind of hesitated a moment, and I said, what would he do? And she said he would call it out. But I've got to play something for you here because I need to have you hear it for yourself. And if I can, I think I've lost it. Doggone it. It was okay. Here it is. Nope, it's not coming up. No, this was so priceless. It was last Saturday, and it's darn going away now. I'll come back to it. I talked to Morgan Bentley, who told me, among other things, that Stephen has great respect for hurricanes. He'll flat empty his house out if he hears one's coming. You all know that he was down in El Salvador, where Stephen saved the lives of 2 swimmers who got caught in a riptide. And fortunately, he had the town crier there with him, Morgan, who brought the story back and it had it published in the Florida Bar News. I got to find this thing. This is so aggravating. I don't know what happened to it. I rehearsed that so well. It was right there. Okay. All right. Boy, that's aggravating. It was priceless. Suffice to say, his mother went on at some length about his integrity, about how he never gave her a moment's trouble. He's so honest. And then I talked to Morgan, and he gave me some stories that he said I suggested I ought to talk to Mark Kapusta. Now, Mark Kapusta, I called him yesterday, and I didn't get any response back from him right away, and I thought he had gone into the witness protection program because he heard what I was calling him about. He was an attorney brother of Stephen's, and sort of like his house dad, is that what you call it? Yeah. House father, yeah. He had some, he was kind of a loco parentis position, I guess, with respect to you. And so anyway, Mark did get back to me, and he did tell me that Stephen had done a very thorough job investigating some of their fraternity brothers, and he came back with some well-reasoned opinions and recommendations and was a big help. That's not the way Morgan told the story, but Morgan put a little gloss on it, I think, and it's secondhand for him anyway. Back to Morgan, though. Morgan said that Stephen is not afraid to try a case. He's fearless. He just looks forward to going into trying cases. And I found that actually among other people I talked to, not only about Stephen, but this whole fraternity of criminal defense lawyers is just a different world for me. I mean, they just love to get in and adjudicate disputes and represent people who need help. Morgan pointed out that Stephen rarely writes anything down. He will sit there with a notepad and maybe write 1 or 2 things, but absorb a tremendous amount of information, close his eyes, and let it kind of implant itself on the back of his mind. Now, Kim tells me that now that he's a judge, he's learned how to take notes, voluminous notes, but apparently he has a great ability to absorb tremendous amounts of information. He believes in due process. He believes in people being able to come to court and have their disputes adjudicated. He could be very jaded about that, given some of the clientele he has to deal with, but he's not. Morgan told me that he heard Stephen totally regurgitate a final argument that he heard then prosecutor Dino Economou deliver in the Trooper Jeffrey Young case, where he was the gentleman, the trooper you may recall, some over 25 years ago, that was killed tragically, and the Green Street Bridge was named after him. But it was apparently an awesome final argument. Stephen went and listened to the whole thing and could almost recap it about the accuracy and fidelity of a court reporter. He also said, Morgan suggested that Stephen, one thing he will struggle with is he doesn't have much tolerance for gamesmanship, and in a civil court he may not have much much patience with people who do stupid things. But hopefully he'll make that transition. I spoke with Bill Nettles. Bill Nettles is the U.S. Attorney for the District of South Carolina, and he and Stephen met at the National Criminal Defense College a number of years ago, and their lives sort of paralleled one another. They both came out of the public defender's office. They had children about the same time, and they've surfed together all over the world. And he told me a story about how Stephen one time was sitting in the state attorney's office waiting to meet with one of the state attorneys, and noticed a man over in the corner that was in a wheelchair. And the man was very frustrated over something. He's trying to, it wasn't clear at the time what he was doing in the state attorney's office. He's looking for some kind of legal advice or something. And it's a busy place, and it's kind of hard to get attention in there from time to time, I'm sure. And Stephen went over and sat down next to him and asked him if he could help him. And he did help him and wound up representing him. And I think it was a pro bono kind of situation. But it was one of those things that Stephen felt that this is a voiceless person, and he's not going to be heard unless Stephen or others like Stephen are that voice for the voiceless person. He also asked me if I would pass on, Bill Nettles asked me if I would pass on to Stephen the request, and that is, he says, we who do criminal work, we have a lot of disappointments along the way, bad rulings that go against us, but we're always prepared to take those things, and if the ruling goes this way, we've got a contingency plan. We'll go that way. So we can kind of deal with these bad rulings or rulings that are adverse to us. He says, but I would just urge Stephen that when you rule, be nice. He says, we don't care which way it goes. We can deal with it. Just be nice. He also asked me to point out to you, that a judge is really nothing more than a lawyer who's poorly dressed. So you may have to, your wardrobe allowance may be reduced a little bit now. I talked to Jordan Wallach, who was a very good friend, and let me first of all mention Larry Egger confessed that he was the last person to sleep with Stephen before he got married.
And sleep we did.
And but he did say that, and everybody I talked to kind of turned to the more serious side, is that he said that Stephen would, I would refer matters over to him, that matters that, normally he wouldn't want to take, but he was always open to helping people who needed help. He handled very delicate matters. He did not do it in a self-promoting way. Always showed compassion, humility, and that sort of thing. Now, I kind of saved Jordan for last because I almost got choked up when he was talking about it, about Stephen. Jordan tends to look at things through a Jewish ethics, kind of a mystical lens, and he pointed out to me that he says, we have kind of a retail practice, and we frequently have clients that we just don't really like that much. and kind of wish we weren't representing, but we have an obligation to. And he says Stephen has such compassion for people like that. And when they don't follow his advice, he's always trying to persuade them to do what's best for them, and tells them that they're only hurting themselves when they don't follow that advice. There's a term that Jordan is going to pronounce for me now, Derek Eretz. There it is. He said you have to cough something up to get it out, which means the way of the world, common decency, appropriate behavior. And he says it's sort of like respect wrapped in compassion, encircled with love and understanding, to treat the world with respect, compassion, and love. He said he saw this so vividly portrayed when Stephen's father passed away a while back. And he said instead of wrapping himself in grief and mourning, almost his only concern was his stepmother, who was herself on her last leg. She passed away shortly after that. But he was obsessed with how she was doing more than, and it was quite a surprise that was a very untimely passing. And Jordan also says that Stephen will often come into the office on Sunday after going to church. And when he's in that condition, he's infused with God's Spirit. He sees him not like he's wearing his religion on his sleeve or any kind of dogma, but with a term that Jordan uses, Selam Hashem, which is the spirit and the image of God. And he watches him when he sees his family on occasions like that, his wife and his kids, and Jordan says he gets choked up to watch him with the admiration that he has for his family. I had occasion not too long ago, Stephen calls me from time to time just to talk about things, and on this occasion it was some kind of ethical dilemma he was facing. And I swear to goodness, it took him about 5 or 10 minutes to explain to me what the dilemma was, that it was an ethical problem. He saw it and I didn't. So it kind of made me wonder why he was relying on me to advise him on subjects like that. But that's how astute he is, that's how sensitive he is, and it's such a strong indication of what kind of judge he's going to be. At this time, I would like to conclude with just a brief prayer for Stephen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your servant, Stephen Walker, for his faith, for his strong character, for his integrity, his passion for the law, and his compassion for people. We call down your rich blessings upon him as he is invested with the insignia of judicial office. We pray that you will anoint him with your grace, that his courtroom will become not merely a chamber of law, but a temple of justice, and that he will act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with his God. Amen.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, and when I was going through this is my favorite part of the program, the presentations. And we have several people who will be making presentations to Judge Walker. And first up, representing the Florida Conference of Circuit Court Judges is the Honorable CLAUDIA ISOM.
Thank you so much. I am CLAUDIA ISOM. I'm here today as a representative of Florida Conference of Circuit Judges. We have got your back. You're going to come to us for many things, including education. I look forward to seeing more of you at our conferences. I'm going to impart to you the best piece of advice I got as a new judge, and that was given to me by Judge Rogers Paget. And Judge Rogers Paget said to me, "CLAUDIA, don't worry about that decision. If you rule for the plaintiff, the defense will appeal. If you rule full for the defense, the plaintiff will appeal. So just rule and get out of the way. So that's my advice to you. You've got good instincts. You've got good experience. So follow those instincts, do the due diligence, and rule and get out of the way. Congratulations.
On behalf of the American Board of Trial Advocates, LAURIE ZIMMERMAN.
I'm very proud to present on behalf of the Manatee, Sarasota chapter of the American Board of Trial Advocates this plaque with your name on it. And I do want to point out that when Judge Williams talked about how the bench is unable to defend themselves because ethically they're not allowed to do that, that is part of what we do at GOETHE. Hopefully you'll never need that. But what our mission statement is basically is that we protect the independence and the integrity of our third branch of government from political pressures and from blocking access to the courts, and we're involved in education of young people so they actually know what the third branch of government is. So again, I'm so thrilled, both on behalf of GOETHE and on a personal level, to present this, and just want to say, if you haven't noticed how uncomfortable Steve is up here with all this praise, that is another reason why he's going to be a great judge.
Representing the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, Anna Marie Rizzo.
It's always great to be a part of these investitures. It's even greater to actually be one to get to present to you. It's fun to be welcoming new members to the judicial branch, especially here in Sarasota. I'm especially excited as president of Factal to be welcoming a fellow member of Factal to now join the judges that we have in this circuit. And being one that practices in many different counties throughout the state of Florida, Sarasota is the best. So in our circuit, Manatee. So it's it's always awesome. And DeSoto. This is just an awesome area to practice. I came from Gainesville. It was awesome up there, but the family that we really have in this circuit is pretty amazing. So I'm excited to see you come from that. Also, as a Gator, too. I mean, it's great. We have a few Gators now, Judge Owens, so it's really awesome. What I did in preparation for today and giving my opportunity to present to you is made a phone call to Casey Epsery. And for those of you who don't know who Casey is, Casey was a PD with Steve when he was a PD in Newport Richey, shared some stories with me, some of which he told me not to give and some of which he said I could share today. So I'm going to paraphrase some of them, but he did share that there were times that in between trials and motions, there was a very long hallway that Steve and Casey liked to throw the football around back and forth, and a Nerf football, I think it was, correct? Is that what he said? And during these times, they would get to talk about judges' rulings and things that may have been going on in the courtroom and outside the courtroom. That was their opportunity to vent. And now you'll probably have to worry about what the lawyers are saying in the hallways about your rulings. But the great thing is it doesn't really matter because we all trust that you'll be making the right rulings. And doing what you believe is the right decision. He also shared with us a time, I guess there was a big media case where the media was quite involved, and that I guess one of your claims to fame with that is instead of giving any kind of comment, your hand just went to the camera, and that was the part that just kept getting replayed over and over again, was your hand in the camera. This time, we hope that if you do have any media presentations, you just show your smile and your great personality that we all know that you have.
My mother saw that, and she said, I saw you waving.
Well, moms are proud of us no matter what we're doing, but I'm sure she's especially proud today. One thing that he did say is that you're a great lawyer. You're a great defense attorney. Not one person in this room disagrees with that. And we're all very, very excited to see how you're going to be as a judge, and we're very confident in everything that you're going to do. So on behalf of Factal, I have our engraved gavel that you're going to be Liberty's last champion, and we welcome you.
On behalf of the Florida Association for Women Lawyers, Sarasota Chapter, Michelle Stefan.
Thank you. Judge Walker, for you we have a Richard Capes print of the old Sarasota Courthouse. I heard Judge Williams say that you've been practicing here for 2 decades, which is not that long. I do think I remember you and your wife as young lawyers. So I think you'll remember the courthouse, which was an amazing place to practice. So this is for you. We look forward to working with you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
At this time, I would like to welcome the president of the Manatee County Bar Association, Jeffrey Goethe.
Good afternoon. I have the privilege of being here today on behalf of the Manatee County Bar Association, and I see a lot of our members here today, including several past presidents, so your respect extends north of the county line. It's clear you've had a wonderful career, and we thank you for that. You're a great example of what an attorney should be, and we know that those qualities will make you a great judge. And thank you for taking on this tremendous responsibility and the service that you're going to give to our community. Congratulations.
And at this time, please welcome the president of the Sarasota County Bar Association, Doug Cherry.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Sarasota County Bar Association, I want to take a moment to recognize Judge Walker's contributions here today. This is another example of a successful, well-respected attorney in our community making a personal commitment to our society. How lucky we are in Sarasota to continue to have folks like Judge Walker who are willing to put themselves forward in public service. We cannot thank you enough for your contributions and sacrifice. It is well known amongst your peers that you have strong family values. I firmly believe this is an important attribute for someone making decisions from the bench on a daily basis, decisions that strongly affect our citizens and their families. I have known and admired you and Kim for many years now, and am happy for your family. This is yet another accomplishment due to your investiture today. There is no doubt that the Walker family can hold their heads up high in our community. So on behalf of the Sarasota County Bar Association, I would like to present you with a small gift of our appreciation. We look forward to many, many years of working together with you and the rest of our terrific judiciary.
Thank you very much. We also have with us today President of the South County Bar Association, Mr. Robert Klingbeil.
Thank you, Judge. Well, I'm still basking in the glow of being a dignitary as declared by Judge Owens. Thanks, Judge. But
20 minutes.
20 minutes left. But I bring you greetings from south of the border. The South County Division of Sarasota County Bar is those attorneys that practice south of Blackburn Point Road. And I bring greetings to you, Judge Walker, and I bring congratulations. And a small token, this is a book detailing the history of Venice.
Thank you very much.
And
I noticed it's not that big.
not that big. But it's got pictures.
Thank you very much.
All right, at this time, please welcome our Chief Judge, the Honorable Andrew Owens, who will administer the oath of office.
Judge Walker, if you'll join me, and I would also ask Kim and Ryan and Grace, and I think you have the robe also.
The robe is there. We need that now.
Okay. Well, we're going to do it shortly
How
thereafter.
about if I take this off?
Just stop there, as long as you stop there. Okay. I know you've always wanted to be a Chippendale, but
It's a very unusual comment from a chief judge.
it's a visual I really didn't want to have. But. All right, if you would please, if you would raise your right hand for me and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of circuit judge on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
the duties of circuit judge on which I am now about to enter, so help me God. You may have seen, there is someone here, and you may encounter her later. She's walking, but her feet aren't actually touching the ground. And she looks like she's about to burst with tears of joy. That's my mom. She's here from South Carolina. She's pretty excited about today. She told me this morning that she didn't sleep a wink last night. This is, after all, her big day. Sadly, my father is not here. He would have liked this. My father, I lost him in 2012. He remains in my thoughts, and I've missed him dearly with the run-up to today. And I've thought about the advice that he might give me, because he always gave me great advice. What my father would say if he was here is he would say, today is not a celebration. It is a reminder. It is a reminder that some very special people put their trust in you, and that the work begins today. The work is not what took you or what brought you here. The work is what lies ahead. It's time to do the heavy lifting. He would remind me not to take myself too seriously. He'd say, "You're not that special." But then he would look at me and he'd say, "Stephen, I'm proud of you. I wish he was here." When I look out today and I see the people that are here, I'm very cognizant of the fact that there were so many of you that gave me encouragement and support along the way. And without the help of all of you, without any one of you, I probably would not be here today. However, there is one person who, without her help, I most definitely would not be here today. Kim is my counsel. She is my courage. She is my love. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this possible. You might imagine I'm pretty happy to be here today, but I see my friend Mark Capusta here, and I think that we as a legal community are all more happy that Mark is with us. Does anyone know this woman? I was nervous about today, and Kim gave me some guidance, and what she reminded me is that this investiture is not about me, that this investiture is about you. I know that I stand here because of your efforts and your support, much more so than my own. I stand here ever mindful of my responsibility to work hard each day, to earn your trust, to be the type of person that gains your respect. Charles Williams is my mentor. When we got together in that official capacity, with him being my mentor after the campaign was over, we met in his office, and he didn't say, "Hey, congratulations." He was very serious. And he said, "Never lose sight of the fact that you are a public servant. Never lose sight of the fact that you are a public servant." I take that message very seriously. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to serve your clients. And to that end, I would like to tell a story. Casey Ebzery was a public defender when I started off in 1991, and I was in Newport Richey, Florida. There was a lawyer that was my mentor. His name was Phil Cohen. Phil didn't really like me that much. And after I had about 2 weeks of experience as an assistant public defender with no knowledge at all really about criminal law, I would follow Phil and I'd say, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do?" And I had the enthusiasm of a puppy dog. Unfortunately, I also had the legal expertise of a puppy dog. And Phil said to me, he said, "Tomorrow we're going to trial, you're second chair." I'm second chair. "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Don't say anything and don't touch anything." And so I took my briefcase and I went to court with him. I don't remember what happened during the trial, but I did my jobs very well. And there was a judge, a very frightening judge, who presided over the case. His name was Dan Rasmussen. And Judge Rasmussen had a very booming voice. And I had never realized that there was a thing called jury instructions as part of a trial, but I was paying attention and taking notes. I wasn't saying anything or touching anything, but I was taking notes. And Judge Rasmussen got to the end of the jury instruction, and there was some magical language. And he was instructing the jury, and as part of the final instruction, he said, "For 2 centuries, we have lived by the Constitution and the law. No juror has the right to violate rules we all share. For 2 centuries, we have lived by the Constitution and the law." When I heard those words, I got chills. I knew then that while I was nothing special, that I was a part of something that is very special. The words inspired me. I worked hard from that. I learned something that day that I believe more fervently today. That what lawyers do, their craft, their art, what lawyers do is important. What lawyers do is noble. To be able to serve you in this capacity is an honor, and it is humbling. Recognizing the women and men that are behind me, I recognize once again that while I am nothing special, I am a part of something that is very special. That energizes me. It inspires me. I am deeply grateful to everyone for this opportunity. The opportunity that you've given me to do the work. The opportunity that you've given me to serve the public. The opportunity that you've given me to strive each day to earn your respect and become the judge not that I want to be, but much more significantly, the judge that you all deserve. Thank you.
In a few moments, the judges will be filing out. I do want to remind you that there is a reception that immediately follows the ceremony at Marina Jack, so we will see you there. Congratulations again, Judge Walker.